If I had to pick the most important muscle group for performance, I would pick the core without a doubt. Whether you're an athlete or a casual fitness goer, the core is so important. The core is the foundation for pretty much every movement, and it's so important for stability and balance and movement mechanics. I've made a couple videos on my channel going over core training, with one more focus on dynamic core training and one more focus on static core training. When it comes to complete core development, you need to do both. But I know a lot of people struggle with programming all these exercises, as well as integrating core training with their weightlifting routine. If you don't know who I am, my name is Rios, and my goal is to help you become the most healthy, aesthetic, and athletic version of yourself. And because I'm here to make fitness great again, I'll be giving you an easy, simple, complete guide on core training. Before I get into the video, because I know how difficult a fitness and self-improvement journey can be, I want to give you the most incredible free gift ever. If you click the link down below, you'll get a free trial of my Aesthetic Athlete Academy, a free athletic bodybuilding workout, and at the time of recording this, a free consultation call as well. Be sure to click the link down below to claim your free gifts. Before I get into the direct core work, I want to go over the most slept on way to develop core stability and core strength, which is just traditional standing free weight exercises. Don't be a lazy bodybuilder and prioritize machines as well as exercises where you're sitting down or laying down. If you want to have great core strength, prioritize ground-based free weight exercises. These exercises actually work the core really well and work the core in a very realistic way. You're not just stabilizing your body for the sake of stabilizing your body like the plank, you're stabilizing your body while producing force. Think of exercises like the squat, deadlift, pull-ups, rows, overhead press. These exercises have a fantastic core demand that will help you build tremendous core stability. Another technique you can implement is to include more offset exercises. Offset exercises are exercises where the load is different on each side. This includes any single arm exercises like a split stance overhead press. These exercises force the obliques to work harder to stop your body from collapsing, and it's a great way to get your core more involved on your weightlifting exercises. Some of my favorite ways to do this are to do a single arm row, single arm overhead press, single arm bench press, and single leg RDL or split squat variations where I'm only holding the dumbbell in one arm. Now on to the direct core work. When it comes to core exercises, I like to use two classifications. The first is using the foundational trunk movements. This includes trunk lateral flexion, trunk rotation, trunk flexion, and trunk extension. And the second classification I like to use focuses a little bit more on body segments. So I like to divide it into lateral core, anterior core, and posterior core. For this video, I'll be using the second classification system because it's easier to integrate this system into your current weightlifting routine. But if you're someone who's looking to create a complete ab workout, I would use the first classification to hit every single movement. Anterior core exercises will involve trunk flexion and anti-extension exercises. Posterior core will involve trunk extension and anti-flexion exercises. And lateral core will involve anti-rotation, rotation, anti-lateral flexion, and lateral flexion exercises. For anterior core, you want to think of exercises like sit-ups and crunches, and leg raise variations for dynamic work. And for static work, think of planks, dead bugs, ab wheel rollouts, and a good carry variation for this would be a front-loaded carry. For posterior core, dynamically, you want to think of back extension variations. And for static exercises, you want to think of back extension holds as well as heavy farmer carries. For the lateral core, I like to prioritize rotation and anti-rotation exercises. So dynamically, this includes rotation from a variety of different angles, pal-off presses and pal-off holds for anti-rotation stability, and to include some anti-lateral flexion in there, do some unilateral carries or Copenhagen planks, and this exercise gets the adductors involved as well. Now to the most important part in my opinion, which is how do you integrate these into your current weightlifting routine? As I mentioned earlier, if you're doing a complete ab workout, I would use the first classification and have a dynamic day and a static day. But when it comes to combining this with your current workout routine, there are a couple strategies that you can use. The first one is the simplest and easiest. Just add one core exercise at the end of all your workouts. So maybe you're running a push-pull leg split. So at the end of your push workout, maybe do some anterior core work. At the end of your pull workout, maybe do some posterior core work. And at the end of your leg workout, do some lateral core work. And again, make sure you're doing dynamic and static core work. So if you're only including one exercise, just switch the exercise in 4 weeks and do the other variation. For example, if you do a dynamic anterior core exercise, in 4 weeks, switch that to a static core exercise. Or you can work both at the end of your workouts, whatever works best for you. If you're someone who really wants to develop your core, I would do both. The next strategy you can use is do a superset at the end of your workout. So include one anterior core exercise, one posterior core exercise, and one lateral core exercise. And a strategy I like to use is to have a dynamic core superset and a static core superset. And the last method I like to use, which has to be my favorite, is to convert your core lifts into functional supersets. The way you do this is to add a core exercise right after a traditional weightlifting exercise. Let's just say, for example, you have a super simple pull workout that involves a vertical pull, horizontal pull, and a pull down. Just convert each of these exercises into their own superset. So add an anterior core exercise right after the vertical pull, add a posterior core exercise right after the horizontal pull, and add a lateral core exercise after the pullover. And you can do this with all your other workouts. And again, make sure you're doing dynamic and static work. And that's the complete core training guide. Subscribe and like the video if you enjoyed, and I recently made a video going over why I'm doing unilateral exercises now, which you should check out.